Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor of coming out of non-public session, please.
Rich Wilson, yes.
Roll call vote, actually.
Alessio?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coombs?
Yes.
St. James?
Why, yes.
Wilson?
You alone.
He's outside somewhere.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Here he comes.
You guys are first on the agenda.
Okay. Can't be a teacher without handouts. I made a couple extras. I could have the extras back, but I'd like to give them a couple. Start.
Sure.
Okay. I was tasked with finding out about the baseball, whether they should open or not. So I reached out to a number of people, and one of the people I reached out to Friday was Nicole. And she was nice enough after I talked to her on the phone to send the email to me. And the main thing that I see there is the MOU, that they should sign, that they will comply with the other one I gave you, which is opening the amateur fields. I'm sure they already have a whole harmless and little league documentation. But if you look at number two, that I would recommend an MOU. That's something that I was surprised she said that. So I want to make sure that I mentioned it to you. The stay-at-home, this is from the state reopening guidance for the governor's economic reopening task force, and it's amateur and youth sports. I put a couple of things together for that for you. In case you want to look at it, you may not want to, that's fine. But that I got from the state. Reached out to the health department, reached out to the EOC, reached out to Primex, reached out to everybody I could think of. Basically, if they keep 10 people, that would include the coach, so it'd be 9 sports and the coach, and they social distance.
They get it earlier.
They may not want it, but
No, it's in our packet.
I wanted to give you the documentation of what I'm saying. Then they should be good to go. You know, I think they should follow that Primex pretty well, and it turns out I had a conversation, I think, with you, right? You're the safety officer or something where you work?
Yes,
All right. So he does it anyway for his business. Made it easy. But I'm not against it, I think it's fine. As long as they follow the rules.
I have a question, though. You just said 10 people limit?
Pardon?
10 person limit?
No, what they would do is they would have 10 over there, 10 over there, 10 over there, but they can't have more than 10. In groups.
and we can't intermingle, so Timmy can't go to Coach A and then go to Coach B. He's with Coach A for the duration of practice, and then at the end of practice, whenever, the next practice, he can go with Coach A and learn something different.
And what he said was important, practices and not games. That's why I wanted to give you this one, because you'll see it says practices.
With the phase one, we can't play games until at least phase two.
One thing I would say, and this may be a bit of a hardship, and that's the porta potties should probably not be used.
We don't have any there.
Yeah, okay, I didn't know if they had, and the water
have
bubbles.
trees?
Yeah. Well, just today, this is the month we test the wells, so just today that entered my mind that, oh, I gotta make sure.
Yeah, we weren't gonna, I don't know if everyone's aware that Kingston and Newton, our numbers have been low the last couple of years. We decided to combine the two towns to make one league. So we're not Kingston and not Newton, we're Sanborn. And we, with all our kids going to the same schools in the next couple of years, this fall, we said they're gonna be going to school together anyway, we might as well get them to come together anyway, so. Both towns, we decided as a board, we have people from each town on the board. We have no porta potties at the fields this year, we're not opening snack shacks. We cannot play games until the state releases us into phase 2. There's 9 towns in our league. 3 of them have already canceled all their recreation sports. We feel that we want to at least give the kids something to do, even if it's just practice. And the towns that are left, all of us decided that it's going to be more of when we can play games, it's going to be 1 game a week, and then the rest are going to be practices. So it's just a developmental kind of season because we don't even know when we can play yet. We could be the fall before they allow us to play any kind of game. So, and I think you guys, everyone got it in their packet, but on top of the state rules, we also have Babe Ruth, who is our national organization that we're part of. We're a part of Cal Ripken, but they own, Babe Ruth owns Cal Ripken. We have a set of guidelines of those that we have that are on top of all the state guidelines. According to Babe Ruth, the state guidelines, state and town guidelines come first, and then Babe Ruth's on top of it. So one of them is we have to have a questionnaire or ask the question every practice if they've had a temperature over 100.4, if they've come in contact with anybody, if they've done any traveling. So my plan was I have a sheet, I'm going to email to all the parents and say, I need this sheet when you show up at every practice, saying my player's name, my name, the parent who's there, and if they have done it, and then we're going to keep them in a binder, so if anyone does get sick, we have record of, they said they weren't, so we're not. And we have a waiver that Babe Ruth also gave us that we'd have to sign for them in order to participate, which I believe was in the packet as well.
Okay. Any questions?
No, I'm good.
Does Babe Ruth have their own insurance as well?
We have our own insurance through K&K Insurance Company that we get every year.
Do we have a copy of that policy?
I don't know, but I can get you a copy.
If you read the thing from Nicole, that was one of the things that we want to make sure we do.
And does it name the town as
Additional.
Yes.
an additional assured?
Usually that's
Yes. Every town gets a copy of it. I can get it for you tomorrow.
Yeah, you guys had it for us last year. I know.
Right.
You had it for us last year, right?
Yeah, I can get to you tomorrow morning.
Rich, you got any questions?
Just signage and what signage needs to be put up, and someone gives me the signs, I'll put them on. I'm sure that's required.
Who's got that list there? Peter, do they need to have signage in the fields?
yes.
Who
One of
provides
the things that I also touched on the beaches, and I don't know how the town would make it, but everybody knows stay away 6 feet. But insurance company, they worry about litigation, they would like to have a sign, stay 6 feet away. I mean, unless you live in a cave, you know stay 6 feet away from people. But of course, they're gonna rule.
So we have to, in order for these kids to play, we're gonna pay for signs then, is that what you're?
Well, I don't know.
Laminate. We have a laminate?
I have them at my work. I can laminate them and I can.
I think as long as it's a laminated sign that's hung up there, I think that checks the block without putting another person on it.
For a beach.
I can make you whatever you need.
Well, that way, because I talked to Rich about it, but he hasn't got the ability to make one, we're gonna pay for it. But if you could just say, make a couple of them, 1 foot down where you are, 1 foot here, and just, social distance 6 feet away.
Yeah, I'll get what we have.
It covers us, it doesn't cost us anything great.
My company's in Mass, so we have all those fun signs up, so whatever we have, I'll bring them up and I'll get them for you guys.
We'll have a little shrinkage.
I wouldn't want to see them spend too much money on signs, so something laminated quick and throw it. My bigger concern is what Primex said, the MOU. Who's going to craft it? When would that get done? And how do we go about that?
Usually they have.
Well, the MOU, I believe is written in there, it's just that they will comply with.
They're saying it should involve who does the cleanup. That letter from Primex says it should be a pretty involved MOU.
Pretty much, I talked about that, pretty much leave it like you found it. That's the word I use.
We're having
We've never had a problem down there, have we, Rich? I mean, it was pretty good about cleaning up.
What?
They usually can give you samples.
He didn't answer.
But it says, no disrespect, I don't wanna go with we've never had a problem down there. Our insurance said you really should have an MOU that deals with X, Y, and Z.
Do we ask the insurance permission for everything?
Well, some of it.
I know, I'm asking, do we ask the insurance for everything?
I was advised, and I completely agree, that we should probably reach out to our insurance carrier in case there are additional things that they have. We don't want to have an incident and have them say.
Well, I don't think it has to be very complicated. It just has to be
I agree.
what was brought up. This is what we're sending to every kid will have a up-to-date sheet with X, Y, and Z on it.
I can send that to you.
We will clean the facility after use. You sign it, I sign, whatever is listed in what they want to see on this MOU. So if you can just draft something up that states that, does that work for the board? Or?
I'll call Nicole and get a sample policy.
Okay.
Make it simple, chief, please, because
Somebody's already done it.
it's ridiculous what we
Yeah,
go through.
yeah.
It's just a form letter that we.
Whatever you guys need me to sign.
Susan, do you have his email?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, if not, I can answer it.
You'll see something in the next couple of days.
It's fine, and I can bring it back, hand delivered.
Okay.
I just have one question. We have, one of our towns that we play with, one of their coaches has a organization that plays Little League Baseball. They just bought the Granite Fields facility over at the golf course, the indoor from Seacoast. They were asking to use our fields. They would follow the same rules and they're willing to sign whatever we want.
Well, last year we had the same with Seacoast United, where they were supposed to send money to use the field because they're a for-profit company. And they reneged on it, they stopped returning phone calls, and that's Seacoast United you're talking about, correct?
They're a different company now. Seacoast United's been bought out.
Is it a for-profit company?
I don't know off the top of my head.
They need to come before us and see with a proposal.
Because they were gonna give us usage in the winter of their facility in exchange for the fields.
I would have them get in contact with Kevin.
And it was a different company, it was NEV.
Yeah, he's already gone through the ringer with this as far as established prices and what we charge for-profit entities, and even if they aren't, Kevin.
That's why I'm asking now, because I don't wanna, it was Northeast Baseball last year, it wasn't Seacoast.
Okay, in conversations with health department, I mean, I've been on phones, but one of the things they brought up was that when we start, right now, towns have very broad liability situations. But once we start putting restrictions on those, our liability starts narrowing. So, and one of the things I brought up was, what if we do this? They said, right now, somebody gets hurt, it's public, you've got pretty broad, they really have to prove a lot. But once you start putting restrictions and start putting in, private for-profit organizations, then that liability starts narrowing. So they said you want to be very sure when you start doing those things, they don't start narrowing your liability coverage inadvertently.
And I would agree with you with regards to COVID, but our general liability in real life still exists. And when a for-profit entity comes in and starts operating on our fields, that's a whole different game that Kevin's already.
That's what I'm trying to say. I guess I didn't say it right, but you're right.
And I doubt they bought that facility with hot dogs and, donation cans.
So Granite Fields has been sold to another athletic facility. So they're offering to swap fields for you at a different time of year if you could get them into our fields now.
I know one of the part owners in the company, that it's the Show Baseball out of Lawrence. Ralph Pachetti, he owns a company in Plastow. And he said, if you guys allow them to use our fields during the winter time when we can't get outside, he will make the fields in Granite Fields available to our kids to practice. And he's above the NEV. I don't know who they were last year. They came in as someone else that wanted to use our fields. I've known Ralph for a couple of years, and if you guys say they need to pay, they will pay you up front. They are more than willing to do that kind of stuff. And I'm assuming they're for-profit because they have a big company, Juggernaut, I believe it is, that's backing them. So they have plenty of money to,
Last time I drove down Granite Field, it was signed, it said Seacoast United.
they just finished the deal right before everything got shut down.
Okay.
So they're in the process of ripping it down and that sign down and putting up theirs and changing over everything inside. They're redoing the whole inside of the place.
Yeah, if you want to just work with Mr. St. James on that one specifically, but I think our main goal here tonight is to get the kids on our fields playing. But yeah, Don, you're gonna get a sample of the MOU and we'll get that over to you and we'll get it signed up. And are there any other issues that anybody's concerned about?
Not yet.
No,
Looking at you.
You know, the first thing I was taught by Kevin Burke was, the most important job we have as selectmen is protect the town from liability. And if he told me that once, he told me 1,000 times. So when I bring up liability, it's because that's how I was trained.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Okay.
And thank you for your research on this.
Oh, let me tell you, it's been an interesting 10 weeks. I'm on first name basis with everybody.
That's good.
Once I sign the MOU, then is it whenever Rich is ready for us to get on there?
Yep.
Anytime.
All right, so I'll need a motion authorizing me to sign a memorandum of understanding with
So moved.
second. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Alessio.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Coombs.
Yes.
St. James.
Yes.
And Wilson.
Yes.
And I'll send a copy of that before we sign anything or send it out. Once Dawn gets it, everybody will see it.
We'll see you in a couple of days.
Thank you.
Give the extra copies of that email. Well, yeah, what it is, I gave everybody my copies. They never made it across. So I got two. Oh, you want?
Paul's here for a quick thing for the rec department. Quick, wait. All right. So go ahead. Is that all right if we take it that order?
Yes.
Got it? Have we got an issue with that? Okay.
So, the governor's letting day camps open on the 22nd. I talked to the board other times, I have a feeling you're not going to think that we should be doing camp like we have been doing camp, especially when you think about doing a rainy day. But I would like to propose that the rec committee do 2 or 3 activities for families sometime during the summer. Perhaps not until the end of June, July, the first one. Kind of do the first one and see how that goes. And kind of go from there. I do go by all these rules, or whatever rules are in place at the time, if they relax some of those, but I think it would be important to try to get some things going, something fun to do for families in Kingston this summer. And I don't know, I could, I'm meeting with my committee tomorrow, they're kind of brainstorming some ideas, we could present ideas, or an idea to you. I think it would be something like trying to use all parts of the rec center, because we have that wonderful new field that Rich made for us, and just kind of spreading out and maybe rotating through some activities and such, and just to get people out there. I think if it were to rain, we would cancel it, because I don't think we can be safe, COVID-19 safe in the rec building. It's just too small an area.
So one thing I'll throw out that we need to discuss opening beaches and how we're gonna manage those as well. So that may come into what you're trying to do. 'Cause if we open that beach there, then we're gonna be limited on the amount of people that can be on that lot to self-distance. So that's something that we need to decide, because there, people, well, I'll talk to the board a little bit later about 3 different locations, one being the beach in Greenwood, one being the beach where you are, and in front of the state park. The state park's planning on opening this Friday.
This Friday?
Yeah. So that's the only thing I personally can see that we need to look at, what you want to do, how you're going to do it, and if we're going to open the beaches, which they're recommending we do, and have certain signage out there, how will that work with you or for you? Or will that interfere with what you're trying to accomplish?
I mean, we wouldn't include the beach. We might go on the beach, but we wouldn't be any swimming or anything. So that's what, I'm not sure if that's what you mean, but.
So you're gonna meet with your staff tomorrow anyways, and come up with a couple proposals? We are meeting next Monday. Do you wanna bring something back to us then? Does that make any sense, Mr. Chairman?
I'd be willing to give them broad latitude to come up with ideas that fit the governor's COVID 2.0, and he can let us know if it's something that's gonna cost money, but I assume you do the same thing you always do, charge a reasonable price that covers the cost, but I would let him just go about and do his thing and give broad latitude unless...
Yeah, I mean, Paul and I sat down and talked about this, and I mean, and the rec department has come up with, you know, numerous things, trunk or treat, you know, the Easter egg thing, all that stuff. I actually recommended an Easter egg hunt in July to make up for lost
We
ones.
may do that. Would you like to be the Easter bunny?
Oh, sign me up. Big woolly suit in July.
I'm gonna sell tickets. Raise some money for you.
There you go.
But yeah, I think we have a pretty good working knowledge of what's allowed, what the town wants to see. Obviously, you know, involve the health officer, you know, to make sure that we're meeting all those demands. But I agree with you, Kevin. I mean,
Okay, I'm cool with that. I mean, just, I thought, I wasn't sure what you guys.
Have at it, you don't have to, I mean, you've done some great activities, you're very conscious of cost, and you know what the state orders are, so I'm sure if they change tomorrow, you'll comply with it, you know?
I don't see anything that's gonna cost a whole lot of money, just supplying some kind of food and drink. And even that, now that I heard about the snack shack now, maybe we're not even doing that, I don't know. I guess that probably isn't a great idea, if they relax things a little bit more, but yeah, I mean, I think
theirs is probably more
Multi-people.
3 people in a tiny little concrete building.
Yeah.
right.
They can have
I didn't know
that.
if it was the exchanging of food and they would just be picking it up, I guess, but, yeah, I just think people are really looking for something fun to do.
Yeah.
If we can't supply camp, which I understand why we can't.
Everybody wants out of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything you can do to get them out would be good.
Absolutely.
It'll probably help the police department.
And I guess I wonder, you know, should we consider we don't normally, we encourage events to be Kingston residents only, but we never screen people for it and say, are you, okay? Should we consider screening people and making sure?
I don't want to tie your hands, whatever you find reasonable.
I mean, I think we could advertise as much as we can, but.
Well, if we're gonna be able to control how many people go to that beach, then we're gonna need to put stickers on cars.
Well, I think he's talking about other things, just activities in general, not the beach.
It would be the beach, it would be,
But that's-
using the rec center or the
But
playground.
that's gonna be people that park in there. The only way we're gonna be able to tell, to enforce who uses it, A, they gotta have a key if it's locked, but if he's there, it's gonna be open. So they're gonna have to have those stickers. That's the only way we can enforce it.
The stickers might be an issue, because last year we ictionated it because it was gonna cost us
Expensive.
too expensive to print the tickets.
So that's something the board's gonna have to decide.
I know, but that's not what Paul was talking about.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
He's not talking about the beach. We're talking about programs on the fields there. And you're talking about non-residents.
Well, it does involve the beach because the cars are gonna park in there, use the beach, park in the same place that his people park at. So there's no way for us to enforce that unless they have a sticker on that tells us who belongs there, who doesn't. So that's
Or
something,
you could give out something for the windshield that they're involved in
as
that.
long as there's some way to make that distinction.
I kind of like the idea of Kingston residents, but
I think he's saying if he was gonna do a movie night on the plains, you know, does it matter if Newton people come?
That would, no, I mean, if it's at the rec center, I mean, parking would be a problem because Bolton's is open. So they were always nice enough to let us use that, because it's, you know, they're not usually open when we do the Halloween party or the Easter party. But, and I hadn't thought of that till just now, but we're gonna have a problem with parking. We don't want people lined up on Main Street. And then you're gonna have, the boat launch is gonna be, that sometimes is filled up, so we could be limited because of parking.
Yeah, so it's something, the board's gonna have to make up a decision here as to, are we gonna open that beach to the residents? And if so, how are we gonna police it in the same agreement?
Right. And it would be similar, because it would be, I mean, parking would be one part, but then just having,
With regards to your specific question about limiting it to residents for the event, though, I would say probably your channels that kind of blast us out there are Kingston mostly.
Yes and no, because the one channel is through our website that the kids sign up for camp, and that's everybody. And I don't think I could do an email. I don't think I could do an email. I could try.
I would just put something on the bottom. This event is for Kingston residents, and someone's got to.
I mean, I think we could say due to space limitations, parking,
Yeah.
social distancing, all that stuff, and we just can't entertain, all these towns. I mean, that's just.
Better to start slow. If you don't have enough of a response, you could always open it up.
Right,
Or open it up to Newton for Sanborn families.
Right. Yeah, I would like that. Sanborn, yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I agree. And I absolutely would try it, see how it goes, and go from there, because we have no idea what their response. I mean, I'm guessing it would be pretty good, but who knows? I mean, maybe people wouldn't feel safe. I asked people if they would send their kids to camp, and I got probably 80%, 85% said they would.
Take them! Take them!
What I got out of the camp, watching the governor and the responses on the news was that all the camps said they were fine with opening, but they couldn't meet the guidelines.
Right, I saw that a lot too. What they're doing, Portsmouth's doing a full team. Yeah, they say, well, they're coming Tuesdays and Thursdays for a short period of time. It's
crazy. How do you enforce any of this? It's just,
I mean, I have to
we
make
can't
sure.
stay shut down. We cannot stay closed.
I have to also make sure that my committee members can come and can help me do this. I mean, if we're really gonna go by these rules, we need somebody going around and enforcing them, or at least suggesting them.
At least keeping things down to a dull roar.
Right, at least, I mean, I think show the effort. I mean, if it was me and one other person, I don't think they could say we did a very good job with 60 people trying to keep social distancing, but.
That's the other thing they said is that by the time they met the criteria, well, they had to charge so much that people wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't pay
To pay for all the staff.
The staff, yeah, because you need more staff. But, okay, was that quick?
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
See you, Paul.
Next on the agenda, we have the Fire Station Building Committee in their regular scheduled slot.
Right.
Yeah, I am.
What do you work outdoors all the time?
Good evening. Just an update, as usual. So the last time we met, we were talking about getting input back one more time from both Sumner and Primex. We have that back. So Primex is still, what I will say, we got 12 things back from Primex, which I wasn't surprised because we didn't change anything. Those 12 things were more precautionary. They say, hey, be aware. 3 of them were to do with the $1 million. So we discussed the $1 million, we were gonna leave it alone. Basically, she said, hey, if you change the $1 million, make sure you change this and this. So if we don't change it, if we leave it alone, we're good to go. 12 of those really referenced, 7, 8, 9 of them referenced the Bowen construction contract, which she doesn't have, which we have already signed, right? So I kind of let those slide because we can't go back and unsign that. That's a contract that was done in November. So other than that, Primex, we're kind of good on the cautionary things, be aware, this and that, and it was really the main points were the $1 million. If we leave it alone, we're good to go. Sumner came back with this clause 3.6.2. I called the architect. An hour and a half later, we got off the phone. So before we get into that, I'd like to at least talk about the process that we, the town, the construction management company, and the architect go through, which some of you may understand. I got enlightened as far as that's concerned. So what happens with Bowen, because we went to construction management, is once we kick this thing off, let's say in
October and November, we start some construction and we get going. Bowen Corporation gives us an invoice, and it's for a portion of work. Let's just say, for the sake of discussion, it's $225,000. And it has concrete and steel, but it also has a package of invoices attached to it. Before we see it, so he gives us a application, so this is in their contract. Bowen Construction gives us an application for payment and certification of work payment. What that does, so he writes all that up. He says, 20% on the foundations. I have this much steel. We've contracted, the excavating, this portion of excavating. That goes to the architect. The architect, SMP, has 30 site visits to build this station. So he will be here. When he gets one of these from Bowen, he will come down here and do his site visit and validate that 20% of the concrete's in the ground. We've got compaction as far as the, footings and foundation and all that stuff. So they have a pretty good little checklist that they go through. And on the application for payment, there are basically three people that sign this. The construction management company, Bowen, the town of Kingston. So we need to come up with a small group, maybe a subsection of building committee, 3 people, the chief, myself, maybe one of the boards of selectmen, and we go over and say, yep, that looks like it's complete or not. So the town will sign off, and then also the architect will sign off. The architect has a section for deficiency of payment, so he can defer payments. So there's a piece there that Bowen says it's 30% done. The architect comes back and says, no, it isn't, it's 20, hold back this amount of money. So that's how that all gets done. So there will probably be 15, 16 invoices for the fire station for it to get done, because it'll take about 15, 16 months for it to be complete. So we get these big chunks monthly. And that's really what the architect is having a problem with us taking that clause out. He says, you don't want to take the clause out. You don't want to change the clause. It's for me to do exactly what we just talked about. So I got this kind of chain from Bowen, and I talked to Jeff Parks, the owner of Bowen, and he's like, yeah, no, don't take that out. He says, I don't know if you're aware, but it's also in our contract too. So you want that clause in there that we're responsible for site visits, checking, all that stuff. So
What was Sumner's rationale for taking it out?
well, from here on out, the Swiss cheese clause is, so that's what he called it. He said it doesn't put any teeth in SMP really signing off. They can just sign off. As long as Bowen gives them the set of invoices, SMP can just sign off. Well, that's not the way the architect saw it at all. He takes that pretty responsibly. All these applications for payments and certifications of work gets his stamp, and I guess we just have to, it's a stalemate at this point. He is not taking it out. He's like, Kent, I've built a lot of buildings, and every architectural contract that we sign, that's in there. It is the only time that I've been asked.
Yeah, that's a normal procedure.
Normal contract, so.
I just don't know why you're...
And he didn't, I guess my biggest problem is he didn't give me wording to counter. He just said.
He's probably looking at it and saying if the architect and the builder are in
Cahoots, they could just,
cahoots with each other, they could artificially sign stuff. But if the other group is saying something's wrong, it's going to throw up a flag.
Right.
And end it pretty quick.
It says exactly what Jason said, Rich, and he's like, if I'm in cahoots with him, number one, it's gonna be once, because I'll be out of business. I lose my architectural license and the number and everything. He said, I'm done. He said, I need you
Have you looked at a contract with another fire station that was built in the last few years?
Yeah.
They have that clause in there?
Yeah.
Okay, then I don't have a problem with it.
Yep.
To be honest with you.
And it's no different-
standard with other contracts, no offense against Sumner, but
Like just the library has the library contract, I'm assuming? Does, the Board of Selectmen probably doesn't have a library contract, but Bowen
we had different
Construction.
trustees in those days, so we didn't get to see everything.
But that was in there.
All
Absolutely.
right, that's all I wanted to know. If it's
There's no
in,
difference if you build a police station, fire station, highway garage,
Okay.
library.
There's a retainage built into the contract, right?
10%.
So that's.
So that was the other thing, he said, please make sure your Board of Selectmen understand, if we don't like it and you don't like it, you're still holding back 10% of the total of that invoice, built up over 15 invoices.
And then it's built
We're gonna
up
be sitting
for
on
the end, probably 60
200
or 90
grand,
days.
300 grand that goes to the,
What's the time period on the retainage? Is it a year?
yeah, completion of the project.
But we have the, well,
So it's,
it's two different things though.
What, the retainage?
yeah,
Most time it's for a period after the contract ends, like,
Because usually,
sometimes it's 90 days, sometimes it's as much as a year.
yeah, federal contracting, it's a year, like they get a year warranty, they can call us back on punch list items or anything like that.
Yeah, so the rubber roof leaks,
right.
you know, if you haven't had a chance to check that, then there's a way to go back and hold that and get it fixed.
I'm just, if you can find out while we're sitting here or whatever, what that time period is for retainage, I would just be curious.
So as it stands right now, I would like to go back to the architect after I find out. And next Monday, did you say you were meeting next Monday?
we said that last week we were gonna meet next Monday, because we have to open up some bids, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna be a Zoom meeting.
Oh, maybe.
But if I could have that contract printed out, and I guess they have to finalize it in the PDF format and all that stuff to be a final contract, but I just don't see us changing that.
So you'll be here next week at your regularly scheduled time?
It's the way he says it.
But if we, well, how would we avoid, if we decided to Zoom, if we had, I don't remember what we had talked about that. We did.
Yeah, I thought the only thing we had to do was open the bids.
Okay, we're gonna do that by Zoom.
We're on the summer schedule now, so it's every other week,
Okay, all right, so how do we accommodate the fire department and still Zoom?
like we always do. We always accommodate.
Good, well, if we're just waiting on the contract, when we approve it tonight, when they get it, authorize the chair to sign it.
I kind of like to look at it.
Yeah, I don't know that I really want to be eligible for
I
that.
don't mind going to the fire department looking at it once it's printed.
Okay, well, I assume Phil's gonna look at it, but.
Yeah. You still want a motion to authorize him to sign it after we've seen it?
Fine with that.
So moved.
I mean, we could initial where he's gonna sign, saying that we've approved it, and let him sign the
Exactly.
lead form.
Yeah. Yeah, so that we don't hold things up, let's keep things moving. Is that okay?
If there's initials on there, then fine, I'm not gonna be on the hook for a $5.5 million fire station by myself.
No, we won't do that to you.
Get the architect on speed dial, you know?
That's a beautiful thing.
How long the retainage is.
739-8190.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably two different days. There's probably two different time frames. There's probably one for the contractor and one for the subs.
Oh, yeah.
It goes to 10%. It's a situation, then it goes to 2% per year.
Most come up and then it's 10% till completed and 5% for the year. Or 90 days. I'll put it to you a year.
Hey, Jason, Ken Walker, how are you? Actually, I think I'm asking the wrong guy. What's the typical retainer for
Time frame.
time frame? I mean, is it a year after the project's finished? Is it 90 days for payment? I should be asking Jeff that question, shouldn't I?
Maybe. I can clarify your question.
So we're discussing all the invoice, the certificates of payment, right?
Yes.
And as we go through those payments, there will be a portion, 10% of that will be under retainer.
Retainage, yes.
Yes,
retainage. To retain, so the town will retain a portion.
For how long?
Each monthly payment. So that is held by you until the end of the project. It's usually included with the final or sometimes the second to last application for payment, or depending on, how the project is terminated. But it's not like 6 months after the project.
Okay.
It's at the end of the project.
Okay.
Usually coincides with the application where
You said you want to hold that on there?
It does.
Okay.
Any other questions?
By then,
You couldn't hear what he said.
we usually have a punch list, list of outstanding items.
Yep.
A lot of owners have lists of things that they want to add, change, tweak, because there's contingency money left.
Yep.
So there's always those sort of end of project type items. We have to get through project closeout for, record elements and O&Ms and all that stuff.
Right.
But we don't hold up retainage for that.
Okay. Okay. I'm good.
Was that all?
That's it?
Okay. Everything going okay?
They go get off the phone.
I'll call you tomorrow.
I certainly hope so.
No, okay. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah. All right.
That was Jason Lacombe from SMP Architecture. So that retention of that 10% is pretty much at the punch list time frame that would get submitted for final payment. So 16 months after start, so probably a month after completion of the building.
So we don't hold any money back after the final payment?
I thought you said 6 months.
It's included right at the punch list piece, maybe a month after.
But if at the end of that month, and you're not satisfied that those things were completed, you still have to write the whole amount of that money, right?
Sure.
Okay, that's, I think, what we're looking at. If you go through the project and it's still not done, even if it's the 16 months,
We
you
don't
shouldn't get
issue-
paid if they're not
absolutely.
done, finished.
So there again, they're not going to ruin the reputation, but not coming back for roofs leaking or
And
something.
that's, I'm glad they care that much, that's important.
Well,
As-
let's not find out the hard way that they don't.
That's,
I guess my concern is, what is the warranty then? Like Rich's example, the rubber roof leaks after our first winter through this thing.
Right. So that's in the building spec. So obviously the HVAC is whatever, 2 years, the rubber roof membrane is gonna be X, so we get all that in we don't even have the building design yet, right? So we don't have the full spec, but we'll get all those warranties from the bidders.
I guess basically where I'm coming from in this is the way I've always seen retainage used is there's a small percentage of it. Yeah, it's usually 10% at the outset. I think what Rich said, it was 2 or 3%. And at a year, we would go back and always have to send some guy over there to like paint some jam and fix some window and some stupid crap like that, but then we'd get the rest of the money. And so this was beyond warranty work. This was just, or I guess it was warranty work. It was a 1-year warranty thing that they would have the time to put everything through the paces and make sure it was working properly, and they got their final payment, or we got our final payment when that was, yay.
Yeah,
I would assume that if, that would be on bound, not SMP.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that would not be on the architect, that would be on the construction management.
we can check.
Well, I guess if the architect is the one who's verifying that everything's complete, they're kind of.
And we are.
I think you're worrying about something you don't need to worry about. I mean, and I know you're looking out for the town, like me.
I'm glad these are all recorded,
I mean, you're talking about major companies, you're not talking about little companies and somebody doing something that's gonna go out of business and disappear.
Well, I mean, yes, but then a sub,
But the spec will write in, like, in my case, HVAC, it'll say in the spec, must give a year, labor must give 2 years on such and such, 5 years on this. You know, service it for X number of years, free. And, that'll all be covered in the spec. And it's not gonna be the little companies that do, like, all that radiant and all that, they can't front the money to do that.
I mean, there's some things here that we're using that aren't old technologies. Insulated concrete forms, you know, a lot of these things are newer stuff, so I guess my concern is if we find out that it's junk, what's our recourse?
Except they're checking the compression of it, or, I mean, that's what they're there for. I mean,
So we can check with Jason again and Anthony tomorrow from the architects. Like I said, I think that's more of a construction management issue, so we can call.
I'm not trying to say this is holding up the contract with the architect, I'm just asking the question. I don't want to take any more time on it, but if you could ask,
I will.
You know, in that scenario, what is our recourse? It would be good to know now
Jeff
rather
first.
than later.
No problem. So let me get the answer to that, but my plan would be to have a final contract in the folder for you next Monday, or as soon as possible. I'll give it to Susan, and if we can get that.
when are we meeting next?
We were gonna have a Zoom meeting next week on the 15th, and then our next in-person meeting was gonna be the following Monday.
22nd. Well, can you give us an electronic file of the contract?
Yep.
And then we drop off a signed initial to Susan, the office, so that you have approval from us?
Yeah, I'll be in the office on Friday. I can
Okay,
sign
so
that.
we get it in by Friday?
Yeah,
I will have it tomorrow.
How's that?
I'll have it tomorrow.
Okay, then we can keep that rolling right along. We'll do it electronically, and then get in a piece of paper with our initial on it to you.
They are doing a significant amount of work, the architect now. A ton of it. The blueprints and development are really there, so. What else did we have?
Payment issues. So right now, basically what we're doing is, because none of the bond money or the landfill money is available to us, everything's coming out of impact fees and the building fund that we've established. So basically, like the geotesting for FNS, for the septic at 146 Main Street, consolidated, Unitil, I have Kelly draft up a PO, I sign it, where it's coming from, and then we send it to Cindy for you guys to sign. Moving forward, especially with those 15 invoices from Bowen, we're just, I guess, looking for guidance on, is that an acceptable route of checks for payment? Cindy did say that she at least wants to have everything run through her so that she can keep track of everything, which I think is probably smart, being the finance director. But are you, I guess we're looking for guidance from the board on if you're happy with the way things are moving now, payment-wise and PO-wise.
Has anyone met with the trustees yet, given them a timeline?
I think Mark was gonna talk to them and let them know what our timeline would be, depending on the bond payment or the bond availability of August, and then moving forward from that.
But Cindy would still release that money too, right?
Well, the issue has been, is they need to meet with their financial people to make the money.
No, I know that, but I mean, once it's available, Cindy would be the one that processed it to release it, right?
Yes.
Once it.
Yeah, it would come out of that fund and it would just go into the general fund.
So the procedure we're doing should work throughout like that.
So I think we're saying, yes, the procedure we've been using should work.
And what normally happens is that the contractor they'll pick a date like the 20th or the 25th, and they'll say, how far will you be by the end of the month? And that's when they'll turn in a bill. So then the contractor can review it, the architect can review it, we can review it, and then have a payment by the end of the month or 5 days into the next month.
I'm pretty sure Mark was gonna talk to the trustees and say, you know, first of the year, we don't really need it. If the bond money comes in mid to late August, we should be okay. We don't need that money.
Remember I asked you a few meetings ago what your cash flow requirements are. You need to know what you're gonna have to pay out when, and if you need that cash flow, then the procedure in terms of actual payment will be through Cindy with us. Okay, it makes sense to do that, but as long as the trustees know what they need to have money available, you know what you're gonna have available with the bonds.
The trustees, I don't think we need to worry about till next year. Because the bond will be
But the more
here.
they know, the less
I
they
think the
worry.
sooner they know that, the better off position
They
they
won't
will be in the
worry.
long run. Not just with the fire station, but that fund in general. They keep asking me, so I'm just passing that down to Jim. And one of them at my house, so.
Geotech should be drilling, the geotech boring should be this Friday. So that'll get us one in the ground. Any update on Unitil Consolidated?
Consolidated, Cindy cut a check to them for their invoice for $26,000, whatever it was. So they have us on the schedule, I don't know for when. And then Unitil will be right after that. Geotesting, what's gonna happen on the 13th? Oh, the asbestos abatement is for 4 Rock Run Road is gonna be the 13th and 14th of this month. So we're moving forward, slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else got any questions? Thank you, gentlemen. Public comment.
Is there anybody online out there in cyberspace?
There are people joined by Zoom, and I sent a message that if they want to speak, they need to let me know, and I can unmute them. I don't see anybody jumping forward, but I know there were people who wanted something clarified from last week.
So, I guess I'll speak to that. The letter that we received regarding Tucker, I feel that the board did address the concerns in there. We authorized the use of a dead-end road sign as requested. The only thing that did not take place was putting no parking signs up on a Class 6 road. And in addition to the concern from the resident, we got a letter from the Southeast Land Trust that stated they were taking additional steps to make people aware that parking wasn't allowed there, that the residents needed to be respected. So I guess what I got the impression from the board, and my feeling on it, was we shouldn't use the nuclear option of declaring no parking on a public road right off the bat. So, and the other side of it was, this is kind of a COVID-related symptom with people, a lot of people using the town forest. So, kind of let that play out, whether things go back to normal, where there isn't as many people using the town forest. So.
I thought what the residents were really, but I read the emails that you had sent us, that they looked for, they needed help with people parking in their driveway or obstructing their driveway, and the fact that it was not a throughway. So that they wanted 2 signs, one a no parking sign and not a throughway sign.
I think what we voted on was a dead end, no outlet.
Dead end.
No outlet, right.
So it stated both of
No
the things.
through was the same as a dead end, no outlet?
Well, no outlet means it doesn't go anywhere.
Do you have those signs on hand now?
No, it's the first time hearing about it, so. you guys vote on stuff, I need to get notified. I can order some and get them put up, but yeah, I'm imagining the prison or New England Barricade have them in stock. I bet I can get them this week, but
I don't know the area, so I don't know where a no parking sign would go, but
It would have to go at the beginning of the road to prevent them from going up there,
yeah,
because it's kind of narrow, and then there's, Rich, 2 driveways off that at the top.
it's a total of 3 driveways.
3 driveways.
Right, yeah,
So once they get up there, it's kind of tight quarters, and then it turns right into the trail. So it should, the sign should go at the beginning of the road to prevent cars from,
right. I felt bad for the 3 residents. I mean, I know it's a small road, I know that. And I know we have no control over dirt road, is that correct?
class 6.
Class 6.
But to put up no parking signs, we have to have a public hearing that is noticed, and
Okay.
it's voted on specifically, and then it remains that way. And if this is just everybody's in the woods because everybody's on lockdown, I think a lot of that was from that. And again, I'm just going off of the email I got from the resident that did not make it seem like this has been a perpetual problem, or, so.
I think we ran into trouble before we put no parking signs
Yes.
up. And it created more of a nightmare on right-of-ways versus public roads and everything else. And you weren't here, but when me and Phil first came on, all of us, when we first came on, there were signs that were put on a public right-of-way.
Maple Street, the one down on Maple Street.
Oh, yeah.
It turned into 6 meetings, and so I wasn't here for that discussion, but I agree. I think the residents asked for no outlet. That was absolutely warranted, but I would caution about putting a no parking sign up.
The other thing we can do, we can enforce, anyone blocks their driveway or parks in the driveway, that's a call to us, and we can take care of that.
No, and I think the advice to them should be, if it's property that they own, they can put signage on their own property. I mean, one of them had stated that they put a physical barrier up, but the Southeast Land Trust was also going to take actions as well, so we got to give it time for those things. Whether, if it still continues to be a problem, we can address it at that time with further measures.
But we dropped the ball as selectmen by not informing Rich that we need at least a dead-end sign, no outlet. We need to put that, that's the very least we could do
Yeah.
to help them out. So I'm sorry about that, Rich. That's probably what should have been me as your liaison, and I just didn't make synapses on that, so I apologize. So that I'd like to see us get done ASAP. It's not to say that those residents on that road don't have a right to ask for a hearing on a no parking sign. I mean, we could schedule a subsequent board meeting to have a hearing, and we could still decide yes or no.
Again, and I'm sorry if my comments at that meeting were taken out of context, but I did also include, I was speaking to class 6 roads in general.
Yes, you
And I did explicitly say that I'm not trying to minimize what they're saying, but we have to take steps along the way. You can't just close roads and put no parking signs up. There were other factors that were going to be put in place by the Southeast Land Trust and the requested signs up. But again, I strongly encourage, if it is something that continues to be an issue, if they can let us know, we can go down there. If they can get pictures, whatever it takes, we can look at it and make further changes as required.
So the first thing would be for Rich, please help us out with that.
Absolutely.
No outlet sign, so that's a start. Then the residents need to call if there's a problem. We refer it to the police department. If it persists, then we need to have a hearing to see if we put up the no parking on a class 6 road. Does that make sense for a sequence of events? Gives time for Southeast Land Trust to work their magic if they can.
Are there any signs that we could post up there, don't block driveways, or is there any type of signage we could put up there?
No, but why wouldn't the residents do that? Quite honestly, I mean, that's not a common street sign that any town puts up. If someone blocks my driveway, it's gonna get moved. I'm not even gonna call police department, it'll get moved.
Get towed.
You know.
I know, I would,
Yep.
I would try to reach whoever was parking in my driveway or blocking, but I definitely want them out of there.
I empathize with the residents out there. I know how some of these people can act. It's only the 2 or 3% of the folks that are actually out there
Yeah.
running their dogs without leashes. The dogs are all over everyone else's property, defecating on folks' property. I get it. I'm not a big supporter of posting roads, because if you post roads, then you better enforce it. And we don't do that.
Is there anyone?
If someone calls the police department is gonna charge out there, and if they're blocking a driveway, I'm sure it'll get towed, or you'll get a phone call and you'll deal with it, but that's generally how it works.
I just, yeah, we should reserve the nuclear option.
Okay,
And
let's give it a
if they're
shot.
parking on both sides of the road and you can't get a fire truck up to the gate,
That's a problem. too.
someone needs to get towed. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter if it's a Class 6 road or Main Street. It's apply. You gotta be able to maintain traffic. You don't have a right to, no one has a right to block off a Class 5 road or a Class 6 road. They do, they automatically get towed.
Is there anyone out there that wants to speak to this, Susan?
No, nobody has said anything, so I think we're good. I don't see the same group here tonight.
So you're looking for a no outlet sign in the road.
Yes,
Make that happen. As soon as I can get my hands on one.
thank you. I'll figure this one out yet.
Okay. On to old business. We had our call with PF Pope last week and a half ago, the day meeting. So we need to reach a decision on that. Everybody's had their time to gather their facts, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to allow the town to work with PF Pope and allow that for the employees.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question. So should we be sending this out to other departments to have them review it to see if they're interested in doing this?
I think we would make it available to all the town.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, all
what we should
town
do?
employees would
Yeah,
have.
if we adopt it, of course, the guy would come in and offer education for any employee to talk about it and learn about it. And then
I'm sure they'll provide brochures and so forth that can be distributed to the members of the staff.
Correct.
And they can decide from there. Since we have 3 portals whereby they can have deductions from the check, if they opt for this one here, so be it.
Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Alessio?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coombs?
Yes.
St. James?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Okay. Building renovation updates.
Three floors. Triform, who did Cindy's office before, 7325, that's for both offices and hall repair. Integrated flooring, 8745, which is for the same thing. And Abador flooring was 794315, which was just for the 2 offices and did not include the outdoor hall. So I would make a motion that we award it to Triform Flooring.
Second.
Okay. Motion and second. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Alessio?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coombs?
Yes.
St. James?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes. I will call them tomorrow and tell them and get them on a time frame. He made it sound like it would be ASAP. And he would work with us on weekends or whatever they did before. Because
It's good.
next holiday's the 4th, but I don't think we won't wait that long.
Yesterday would be better.
So you'll be coordinating through that one, Rich? Okay. We got more quotes or?
Yes, I have 3 We're gonna have to review these because they've added different things to each one of these quotes.
This is for the phones?
The phones and the electronic lock for the back door.
Okay.
There's 3 different quotes here from 3 different companies. So what I'll have to do is break them down to see, they're each quoting different things other than, and on top of what we want, you know what I'm saying?
So it's not just a floor,
It's not just.
company-specific
Right,
systems.
yes, so it's gonna take a little bit more to break this up. They range from, $8,400. Then they give you sheets with add-ons. And with this, they're doing it differently. Some of the companies, they're putting it through everyone's computer, so you can see the photograph and open the door from that. And some are doing, so they're all doing it a little bit different. So I'll have to go through these and break it out for everybody.
Do you think you could be ready for next Monday?
Sure, yep,
Do that over Zoom?
yep.
Okay.
And what else did we have? We had when we were there Friday, there were 3 things we talked about. One was the floors. We talked about the desks. Where are the desks coming into play here? You have them already?
No, we just have to go look. They're gonna probably be, I think, the first of July. That's why I suggested we put tables there.
Right, we talked about temporary tables, not bringing back the old desks or anything.
That's what Rich, what did you decide on that? That's what we talked about, so those guys didn't have to keep following.
Temporary works for me.
Temporary for now. Okay, but the sooner the rug will be a big help in getting that squared away, then we can easily bring the furniture in and get it in sooner than not. I thought there was a third thing.
We discussed putting some of the file cabinets upstairs here with locks on them.
Been done.
I see.
They're done.
Yeah. Are any lateral files available that would condense the, no?
We could, does that that makes it harder for you to get into the property files?
The lateral files, some of them, the top shelves of them it's kind of tall for anything you're gonna use, to me. Maybe they're not all the same.
Yeah, the 5 laterals are taller, yes.
We can look into it, but
Yeah.
I would leave them as is for now.
All right.
So we've actually, it's been laid out pretty well to actually create more room in that main room, don't you think, Rich? Mm-hmm. So it should work very well.
Were there any other issues for you, Rich, in terms of what needed to get done?
Just, we went through the basic layout. It's gonna be a work in process. I think all the electrical was done today as far as moving electrical. There's still one technology line that needs to be moved, but we'll move that when Tori's desk moves from where it is into that new office space that day. So she might be down without a computer for a day until he gets someone in here, because it's just a matter of flipping it from one side to the other. I've just got to line someone up to do it. All the electrical switches, security alarms, that was taken care of today. Took care of the floors temporarily today, moved the files today. Painting done today.
And you're clear on where everybody's going and where desks are going and...
Right now.
Yeah, I think we're done making changes on that at this point.
Here's the way I look at it, Phil. We're gonna set it up temporarily. I got a feeling you guys are gonna vote to open the town hall up real short order. And we're gonna operate with it the way it is. Everything's gotta come out in a week or two anyways to do the floors. So if we're gonna make some changes,
That's the time to do it.
I don't quite like the way this desk sets, so we don't like the filing cabinets set up the way they are. They're gonna get moved twice anyways. There's no way around that. If you want in short order, so.
We'll be coming in this week to help consolidate our stuff. Get it out of your way too.
Thank you.
Okay. We're good then?
Good.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Always do.
What's that?
We always make it happen.
Yeah, we know that. You're great that way.
If you're done with that, I got a couple of questions. Other issues?
Sure.
Okay, I was approached by the Lake Association down at boat launch, porta potty. I know we're not supposed to be putting porta potties out at the ball fields and places like that. And so normally the town puts porta potty at the boat launch and at the beach. And this year where the beach is, whatever you folks decide with the beach, if you're gonna open up the rec center and not have the building open, there should be at least a porta potty at that beach also. So, but with the guidelines for the 2.0 reopening, they recommend that we don't have any porta potties. So, which way are we going? What do you want me to do? I don't care. Just tell me and I'll either order it or don't order it.
Why are we not supposed to have porta potties at the
No one's gonna clean them and sanitize them, and
Every time somebody goes in, you're supposed to clean them.
someone's supposed to go in and clean it, and that's not gonna be me. Just let me make that clear.
Or me.
So, that is there for the lake host, I'm guessing?
They get used, if people are out there on a boat all day drinking beer, it's either there in the lake or in the porta potty. And even the porta potty there, I'm sure a lot of it goes in the lake.
Can I ask, all right, I understand, so allegedly we're not supposed to put a porta potty up because it can't be cleaned after each one. When we open town hall, the bathroom's gonna be open.
Supposed to send someone in there every 2 hours.
Part of the issue we talked about. That's
And
what-
does it say anything if we put a sign on it, use it at your own risk? I mean, you just brought up the point, you're either gonna use the porta potty or you're gonna go in the water.
Exactly.
And what's the lesser of two evils? You know, I'm asking facetiously, but can we put a sign on it that says, use it at your own risk? Use that word.
No.
Spiking finless browns on Country Club, Kingston Lake.
First of all, I asked,
You gotta stop this.
I asked the majority of the people downstairs, how often do you see somebody going
Oh my
to the
God.
bathrooms? Rarely, they said. Most people are in and out.
Well, if we put the porta potty, forget that every 2 hours or whatever, or will they come and swap them out every week or empty them?
Once a week. They're usually,
Okay.
they're done once a week.
I say, put the porta potties.
That's fine. I don't care.
I think from a public health standpoint, we can't not have a
Not
porta
have
potty
it,
there.
right.
We can't have someone inspecting boats and not give them a place to utilize the facilities.
I agree.
And whether that is right on the launch or over at the rec center is another item, but
Again, I would say, can we just put a sign on it that says, due to COVID, use at your own risk?
just hang a bottle of Windex and say sanitize after use.
There you go.
I hate to bring up such a crappy subject, but
Bada bing, bada bing.
All right.
3 of them. Actually, when you guys decide what you're doing with the beaches, let me know. I would suggest that even if you open the beaches at a limited hours or limited number of people, you probably ought to have porta potties there. That's my opinion.
That's the question.
How do you do what?
How do you enforce it? I don't know.
Enforce what?
Limited the beach for hours or limited the number of people, or whether they're residents or non-residents, or...
Post the sign.
We cannot be full-time police officers everywhere. It's not gonna happen.
You post the
It's not
sign
being-
and people are supposed to follow the rules and regulations. And if it's flagrant, then you
So we
close it
And
down.
honestly, I'm not kidding about the porta potty thing. Hang a bottle of bleach water on there, spray down after use. If they don't do it, it's on them. And I mean, but we can't,
We
there are
can't-
things we have to do, that specifically.
It's not.
Using the lake for a bathroom is probably not a good option, I agree.
Yeah. Oh, we kicked COVID, but now everybody's got hepatitis. Ooh.
All right, just let me know. You got anything else? Otherwise, call me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
All right, 79E.
Everybody read it?
Yes, I did.
Everybody else read it?
Is this the one declaration of?
Yeah, the one I gave out last week to read before this meeting. Got to go through it. Kelly, do you have any comments?
Not really. I thought it was a good blend of individuals to comprise the committee, because that would give a good, I would have preferred an odd number. That I definitely would prefer, quite honestly. Because in case they have to take a vote. So it'd be ideal to have an odd number. And I'm not sure that something like the assessors, do they need to be there or?
I didn't, there were 2 points I had. I didn't think we needed the assessor on the group. We just needed to make sure we had an assessment.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure about the real estate person.
I would agree with that one also.
I mean, I don't know why they need to be there, other than to
You
double
could
check
always,
this.
you could always ask for an opinion.
Yeah.
Or ask someone to be an adjunct to review some, if there was a question. The assessors need to have the assessment in effect, the selectmen ultimately are gonna make the decision no matter what.
That is correct.
We are the Board of Assessment.
That's correct. So if the 79E committee comes in with a recommendation and we're not comfortable or we need more information, we're gonna ask
We
for
can
it.
send it to whoever we need to.
That's correct. But they need to, I think this group should have a first blush. I'm not, building inspector, I wasn't sure about that one either. I mean,
Other than that, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it covered the
I agree.
bases. And
I agree. Town planner would be great to have someone there from that. But again, I would definitely go an odd number. I would definitely take off 7 and 8 assessors in the Board of Realtors. And then again, building would be the only other.
And I think we would eventually have to set some guidelines for this committee, like what we wanted them to recommend, like what you recommend for how many years, how much, you know, that.
Right. The criteria are spelled out in the legislation. The value of the property, the value of what needs to be done and so forth. So that would be their criteria.
Right.
And then based on that, how does the particular property in question meet those criteria? Do they need additional information? And then vote on that and then send it to us. I don't think it needs to be that complicated. Obviously, the seminary is going to be the first one that we're going to probably come up against unless something comes in before then.
I mean, that's true, but I also want to go back to what Phil said when we first started talking about this. We don't want this to end up being something we spend 2 hours at a selectmen's meeting doing.
No.
We want
No.
to have it pretty much down by the time we get it, you know, to either send some questions back or approve it.
See, I think our Historic District Commission and Heritage Commission are both very diligent in terms of the scope of projects within the Historic District 1, and it's only in Historic District 1, so again, limited as to what numbers would be. I don't know, and one of us being on there is not a bad idea either.
Someone's putting their hand up, they want to
Okay.
speak, so, let me,
Is it Debbie Powers, maybe?
I don't know why I can't.
Can I ask why I was just trying to figure that?
Sure.
We talked about, I don't know if we did it yet, but doing a legit assessment on the seminary now that it's divided. Do we come up with that yet? Or are they looking at it?
What's that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
A legit assessment on the seminary property, divide it and what it's worth based on the appraised value.
Yeah, the two proposals that we had done, two assessments that we had done, I emailed to Tori, and she needs to work with the town assessors. I'm assuming, that was one of the things I was gonna ask now about liaison, make sure that I have the authority to tell her to go ahead and send it to the assessors and have them get working on it. I thought we did already, but I wasn't sure, and, but I sent her the electronic files.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna send it.
But I'm guessing your question is, now that we know that Chase Field isn't involved in it,
Correct.
we know what the,
Current value would be based on the two assessed.
and I also think, you know, the real estate market's changed significantly in the past 2 years.
So I just think, you know.
Except for that, maybe, but that building has so much, the two buildings have so much work to be done that I'm not sure that the market value is gonna have a bigger change. I don't know, I have no idea.
Yeah, I just want to get, before we sign off on anything, because I assume they're gonna be coming fairly soon, not tomorrow.
This has nothing to do with.
Yeah, but I like us still moving forward and getting a legit
We need to
assessment.
move forward, so they've got the package to give to the assessors, that's, at least to give them started format.
Correct.
We're gonna approve this here, they have the purchase and sales agreement signed. I did not get electronic copies because it is on the district's website, if you want one, to look at the purchase and sales agreement.
Yeah.
But they're gonna, the next step would be, after, with this all going, the next step would be for Mr. Chimberg's staff to work with Glenn Greenwood and start putting a proposal together, so.
Can I squeeze in a public comment? Did you want to speak, Mr. Edwards? Okay, go ahead.
Also, tomorrow, the YouTube video of this meeting will be posted, so you can actually watch that portion instead of reading the minutes. If you
Anybody on 79E?
Fire station building committee.
That's all I see.
Okay, so, do you want a motion on removing a couple of these people on here?
That's fine with me. I know.
Well, I move that we take out number 7 and 8, the assessors and real estate professional, as a regular member of the planning. And I don't know about building inspector, I could go either way, but what do you think, Rich?
I don't know.
The building inspector's gonna give an assessment on the building itself.
Well, actually, it's the assessor that should be doing that.
No, not financially, but, you know,
Is there a public benefit to
is
the
there a
work that
public
they've done?
benefit? Yeah.
Because someone can come in and just slap a facade.
Inspector that we decided was public benefit.
Well,
I think that's.
Someone looking out for our interests in that process, I
I think
think.
that's the committee and us that would do that.
Yeah,
but he's gonna go through and inspect it, won't he? Like, go through it like, hey, the foundation's crumbling,
he's still
or...
gonna have to inspect as the project is going on. I'm gonna move that we not include, that I'm gonna make it a positive one, Advisory board on 79E should consist of a member of the Heritage Commission, Historic District Commission, either planning or zoning board, town planner, and board of selectmen. One of each, so that there's a 5-member advisory board to the board of
We want
selectmen.
some technical person.
Hang on, Jim.
It's not
Got a
been seconded.
motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
I agree with that, and I agree with the odd, but I think the selectmen should have some power on that board, so I would say at least 2 or 3 members of the board of selectmen.
We have 1 member of the board of selectmen. You want 3 selectmen?
I'm wanting at least 2, I'm thinking, just to have some weight to it.
Why? It's coming to you next. You have the power then.
You don't have enough to do, you want another committee assignment?
Yeah, no. All right, so it still comes back to the board of selectmen.
They're gonna.
Board of selectmen
Right.
ultimately decide whether it's.
Okay.
They're gonna send this form back, it'll say, okay, the school is $1 million value, they wanna make it $4 million, they want a $3 million tax deferral for 5 years. And the committee's gonna send us a report that says, this is what they want, but we recommend this. We're gonna look at it and say, this is what they wanted, this is what they're recommending, this is what we'll do.
Correct.
So I suppose, I mean, I'm still concerned about some technical person going in to advise us. So I guess we could use that person when it comes to the board that we're gonna send in the building inspector or.
The board has every right and responsibility to question any aspect of the approval. They're gonna give us a plan. This is not gonna be Joe Schmo putting up siding on a building on Main Street. This is not gonna be that type of a project.
Right.
They're gonna have a very detailed plan that is gonna outline exactly what the field scope of the work would be, the timeline it's to be done, who's responsible for it, and my guess is that the HDC and HC are probably going to be the toughest people to please. Never mind representative from the planning or the zoning board or the town planner. So you've got a very good, strong commitment from these folks to understand and evaluate the scope of the project. Should they need more information, they have the authority as our representatives
To bring people.
to bring more information
And
forward.
just to remind you, it's limited to this area right here, so we're probably only talking about one of these applications a year, maybe 2 the first year.
Correct.
But you're not talking like.
It's not a lot of heavy lifting, I don't
You're not gonna have a-
This is gonna be the biggest project, will be the
No,
cemetery.
I thought we were giving our authority to this board.
Not-
To the selectmen.
And with one select person, that individual would report back to this board as the progress of the project.
I misunderstood, so.
So I would have 2 issues with that. One, I think the building inspector should be involved because with all due respect to the Historic District and the Heritage Commission, you need someone who can look at a schedule and say, this is crap, this would never happen. And someone who's on the Historic District or Heritage Commission doesn't necessarily have the subject matter expertise to do that, to look at a schedule that's presented. So I think having the building inspector on there makes sense. He's also the person who's gonna have to see this through to fruition and to have that knowledge from when this started to the, initial inspections, to all that. He knows what was negotiated, what was
Okay.
brought into that process. My second problem would be, I think it should be a member of the planning board, not the zoning board of adjustment.
I would agree with that.
And with all due respect to the ZBA, they say ignore the rules. At least the planning board will have someone who is bound by the
They
rules.
say split the baby, they don't say
Yeah.
ignore the rules.
What does the town want? We'll do the opposite of it. But anyway, I would move that it be a planning board member versus a ZBA member.
Okay, I don't have any problem with that, and especially where the zoning board really, it makes the exceptions to the rules, so.
Actually, the ZBA probably shouldn't be on there in case something has.
In case they need to go before the ZBA for whatever. Could I suggest that we swap out a town planner for building inspector? Or you want them
I
both?
think the town planner would be the one who could,
Group everything
with
together.
the public benefit portion of it, being able to assess that. Because, in theory, a planner would be able to say, well, having that will allow us to do this, or they're saying it's gonna do this, but he's, you know, this is.
Having an even number, I don't think is a bad thing, because they're not gonna be voting typically, they're gonna be making a
Recommendation.
recommendation.
Okay, all right, I'll take the building inspector off my list so that the motion reads, no, add the building inspector back onto the
And
list.
change CBA to planning.
Correct. So that it reads HDC, planning, building inspector, town planning, board of selectmen rep.
Second.
For a 6-person advisory board to the board of selectmen. Does that work, Mr. Chairman? Or do you have another concern?
I'm thinking,
Okay.
this whole,
No, actually, I hadn't yet.
okay, we got a,
Glenn Koppelman made a comment, you should have the town planner on the committee.
He
Good idea.
he is on
You
there.
have him on there?
Yes.
HTC, okay.
Yes, it's 6 people, 1 through 6 as proposed.
Heritage, HDC, planning board,
Building inspector.
Building inspector.
Town planner,
town planner, they're,
and BOS, board of selectmen rep.
okay, yep,
And if you look at their proposal from Rich, it's the first 6,
okay.
okay? Yeah, and we will have to put, you know, something on the website too, and get the criteria, that kind of
So
thing.
you're choosing the committee tonight, and then the actual paperwork for the application is going to the attorney? Is that what we're doing?
We haven't put anything else together, but this is the composition of the committee.
Just the committee, okay.
Right now, that's all, the motion is only on the composition of the committee.
further discussion? Hearing none.
Yes,
Briggs,
Donald.
we're voting, yes. Coombs,
Yes.
St. James.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
All in favor?
And just to follow up on that, I think that the selectmen's rep to that group should be whoever's representing the planning board at the time. Okay,
I may
that's just a thought.
disagree with that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, so the only reason I would be opposed to that is you already have a member of the planning board and you have the town planner on there. You put a third person on there, that's pretty much half the group that's already aligned.
That's valid.
Good point. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, I guess whoever's available. I want to box ourselves into.
I don't think we're gonna be overrun with applications, so.
Yeah. I hope. All right, and then we've got the advisory committee and then the draft application, which I'm assuming is this declaration of covenants that we have. And this is going to council.
That's what I was just asking, I had that on, that's what they're asking for us to do.
Yeah, let's get that started.
Yes.
Unless anyone has any changes or amendments to it.
For what?
This contract to go with Sumner. The declaration of covenants. I'm assuming you looked at this, Rich, right? Yes, no? Yep, let's run it through Sumner.
Okay.
See what he says. And then when we get it back from Sumner, then we can put something on the website with instruction how to apply. Does that make sense to do that in the next progression?
I say we get it through that gauntlet first and then work
Yes,
out that.
okay.
So, under old business ABCB, we have Door Road, and since that was a legal meeting with council, I'm gonna move that to non-public.
So we have received information?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then there's one item in old business. We received a letter from Waste Management regarding their
Oh, yeah.
Hasn't been a year yet.
Their legal theft. That went to Sumner, correct?
Yes, I haven't gotten anything back.
So they would like to have a conversation with myself. I would like to have Sumner there present, but I just want the board's permission to engage in discussions with them. All I'm gonna say is no, so it really doesn't matter, but just so the board can, if we can, do we need to vote on that, or?
No.
Yeah, you go right ahead.
Go right ahead. Yeah. Let Sumner talk.
All right.
Try and get him for lunch while you got him on, you know.
I'll see.
Can I go back and clarify one thing?
Yes.
We were talking about in line with the 79E, we were talking about the assessment of the building.
Seminary.
Seminary building.
Property,
Property.
property.
Are we supposed to send that to KRT now? We've been waiting till we had the okay to send it out to them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are they working yet?
There will be now.
Yeah, they're not coming into the office, but
We get,
they're working on, he did all those abatements.
yeah, we got a few assessments right over there. Yeah. Abatements, I should say.
He's doing his work and dropping it off. Tori's in touch with him by the telephone.
Okay, so, under new business, we have the town hall reopening plan.
Was this you that sent this draft out? Or did
I
you?
sent it.
The release, the press release?
My only comment on the draft is it says the reopening of Town Hall begins June 9th and will continue in phases. I think the next sentence should be added that says, Inspector's office and Selectmen's office will open whatever next Monday is that we said we were gonna open.
June 15th.
15th. Just so people don't come rushing in thinking they're gonna see those people and
then, so did everybody get a copy of that? Susan sent it out.
It must have been this afternoon, I didn't see it.
The only thing I wanted to add to that, Susan, was something about, a note about the construction.
Okay.
So off of what Rich had said, you know, due to ongoing construction, Selectmen's office will not be open outside of appointments only, or something to that effect, due to ongoing, you know.
Okay.
Just so people aren't surprised when they show up and half the wall's missing and the floor's torn up. It just,
Well, when will Tory be in place in that new location?
the 15th is the target goal.
We think
Victoria
we can
to be
set her
there.
up in there temporarily on Monday.
Because the problem we're gonna have is if people are coming to see the town clerk and that window's there and someone is in the office, someone's gonna look for, so.
the window is covered now.
Okay, so that way people aren't expecting that. And, so. That was the reopening plan item you wanted to address, correct? Dates and the press release.
Yes.
And then the only other thing that we have to vote on is the previously discussed enforcement of the governor's order by our health officer. We'll entertain a motion, so that as a matter of record that the health officer will, when he receives a call, will go out, witness if there is a violation, and proceed with education as per the governor's order, and if necessary, elevate it to the Kingston PD.
So moved.
I guess I made a motion. Second.
Okay.
And then, any discussion? I think we talked that one to death already.
Yep.
All right, roll call vote.
Alessio?
Yes.
Briggs?
I'm gonna abstain on that one.
Abstain. Coombs?
Yes.
St. James?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Okay. Mosquito Contract RFP. Excuse me. Okay.
based on what I'm reading here, I think that we probably need to proceed with Dragon for another year. They're under our budget that we've allowed already. And then next year, we put this out for bid sooner, so we get the 3 bids we want.
Yeah.
And we could continue with getting bids this year to see how they compare, but it's
Yeah.
kind of bad to get bids when you've already awarded.
Well, my question would be, is it only Dragon so far in this one, or is there another company?
I sent it out to 3 companies, because I was asked to find bids, and only got a response from the one so far, but I did, because it was only recently, I gave them to the 15th. So you might have to wait till the 15th.
You want
just
to
to get this-
readdress it after the 15th?
Yeah,
The only thing is, we are definitely in mosquito
exactly.
time,
Oh, yes.
and people are already complaining,
About what?
mosquitoes.
Not
and
getting
we're not
sprayed.
spraying yet.
We never were spraying, we just
Don't
monitor.
spray, we monitor and
We don't spray.
Monitor, watch for hits of certain things, right?
I mean, they do the larvicide, but it doesn't, they don't actually spray until there's actually a confirmed case of EEE.
Spray anyways, but it's beside it.
I gotta hand this off to you. I gotta go. Anybody wants to round up cows, come on by.
Not in the dark.
It's the only way we do it.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
See you, Phil.
Is there a motion?
I'll make it a motion. We proceed with Dragon.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call vote.
Alessio?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
St. James?
No.
No?
Yes.
Wilson? Yes, so 3.
Okay, decided on that one. We'll go to committee liaison reports.
I have none.
I don't think I have anything either.
I have a couple of issues. So, one of the things that came up with conservation was a gate that's supposed to go on the Rockerman Trail. Do you know anything about that, Rich?
I know that it was scheduled for last year and never got done.
Okay. Do we have that gate now?
We have that gate, it's been sitting at the highway garage for a long time.
Okay, maybe talk to Rich tomorrow, see what's going on with that. That came up, and the other thing that,
Ellie, that might be something to talk to Rich about.
what's that?
The Rock Rimmon Gate.
Rock Rimmon Gate, he'll know about
Okay, so we want to open it?
it.
They,
And install it. It's been sitting at the highway garage for quite a while.
so they brought up at the meeting that there was a gate somewhere and it was gonna get installed, I guess, so they were just inquiring from the board when it was gonna get installed. The other thing that came up, the board asked me to look into the ESRLAC, which is the Exeter Swampscott River Local Advisory Committee. And there is, Evie did some research and found out that one of the members, Elizabeth Mello, would be interested in trying that. So if we could,
You want a motion to nominate her to fill that position? I'll move that. That Elizabeth Mello be appointed to the Earth Slab Board
yes,
and representing the town of Kingston and Conservation Committee.
a second on that?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Is she gonna come in at least and just, like we do for everything else, or?
She's currently a member of the,
It's not a committee to us, it's a,
Okay, all right.
yeah,
she's already a member of the
she's a
conservation.
member of the commission already, yeah. Roll call vote.
Alessio?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
St. James?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Okay. Any other committee reports?
I don't have really a liaison, but on a new business, I would just like to bring it to the board's attention. It was brought to our attention actually 6 months ago, maybe. that just a potential liability issue, that our finance director, there is no backup. And then this week it came on its own, a check had to be cut and she was on vacation and no one was able to cut it.
She did say that Jane could have, it just wasn't gonna be.
But my thing is if our finance director got in a car accident on her way to work.
Yes.
Or in a plane crash, we have no backup. We don't know any passwords. We don't know, no one can cut a check. And I think we really should look at an alternate.
We're a small department here at the town hall. We need, every staff member should have a backup.
Yeah, so I just want to,
And we need their help, the staff's help, to implement, to propose policy and/or procedure on how we can do that.
Yep.
That's really what we need to vote on, because everyone should have a backup, so that this business could be even conducted minimally, but it should have a backup.
so I just want to bring it to the board's attention as a good idea. Ask each individual what their plan is. I mean, at the least for the town clerk, there's a deputy town clerk. You know, that office takes care of it, the selectman's office.
Well, we're assuming that, but I would not assume that. I think as a policy, we should have a policy in effect that says there should be a backup personnel for all staff to cover for vacations and illnesses. It makes the most sense to do that. Now, I know everything is up in the air, but we gotta start settling. I gotta assume that as soon as the construction's over, we're settling down. We talked earlier a little bit, maybe we should have a date where we come back to the town hall in full swing. And set a date of July 1st, or whatever date may be, that everybody comes back to work, and then we get down to the business of determining how we back each other up in the office downstairs.
With training.
So it's not just Cindy, we gotta make sure that there is a plan in place for everybody.
Yep. Even the treasurer, to be honest, because if
That's exactly correct. That is exactly
I
correct.
think we'll put it on our agenda next week to talk about.
At the next regular meeting, on the
next,
22nd.
Oh, I thought we decided we're meeting next Monday.
I thought we're doing the Zoom Monday.
It's a limited meeting, because
Doing the bids on Monday, Zoom
Okay.
Monday. So the
We're
20th,
gonna bid Monday by Zoom and then have a next meeting.
and next meeting,
By then, we should know the floor, we should know the phone, we should know everything and have a full schedule on people being back.
so we should include in that agenda then a discussion of opening up a procedure for opening up the town. Whether we have a lag or a soft opening with people in and out, working at home and in the office, but we definitely have to pick a firm date to open up. I think that's coming. And it may be July 15th, I don't care what the date is, but we gotta pick a date. And then the staff has time to adjust, because it is an adjustment.
Right.
Going from half and half to full-time back in the office.
Just one more thing, I understand there was an issue in Pillsbury pasture, and that you went to look at it.
I was going to talk about that now.
Okay, can you hold off on that? I want to be sure that we're clear for Susan for the agenda for the 22nd.
right, you want to have what's going on with the floors, the phones, and have a firm timeframe for.
Hopefully the
A
floor is
decision,
done by then.
okay. Yeah,
Now, that we already spoke about us opening up next Monday. We'll be in there as of next Monday, but you're saying that's not a full opening.
Well,
I just assume have the full opening yet.
I think we're thinking that we don't want to start all this other training until we're situated down there.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
And everybody's back.
Yes.
I think once we're back, we should have a meeting of the town hall staff to talk about this, and then we can bring.
Yeah,
I-
maybe we could plan another daytime meeting
Right.
to meet with the staff and
And
talk about some of these issues.
I don't know what we're
Because there
expecting.
may be other concerns that the staff has that have not been addressed, that need to be addressed. And then this is a good time as any to get things worked out with a plan in place to make things a more work-friendly environment.
I have a question, again, if you don't
Yeah.
mind my interjecting
No,
from
that's all right.
Glenn Koppelman. Is there a decision yet on town board meetings as part of the reopening plan?
That will be part of it, I would think.
Well,
I didn't hear it.
Is there a decision yet on town board meetings as part of the reopening plan? I think he
Governor
means,
hasn't approved them yet. I mean, the only way we can have them is by Zoom, right?
Right. There's still a 10.
I'm not zooming.
we're having them,
Zoning board, we're not zooming that.
Well,
Limiting
you're
numbers.
smaller. Anything more than 10 people is supposed to be Zoom.
Yeah, well,
well, tonight we had enough people on Zoom to bring us over 10, we're half and half. I guess the question would be when we're going to be able to meet normally.
I don't think it's anything
That's the governor.
That's the governor.
Yeah, it's up to the
He has to live within what the governor said.
And
we're waiting for the next phase to be announced. I think that's the best way to put it.
it will probably be announced this Friday, the next step, because he announced what's happening the 15th, so it'll probably announce
What's gonna happen on the 22nd?
Yeah.
second.
Yeah, we decided on the zoning board to go a normal meeting. Adam will not be here, but he'll have it set up for us to record it accordingly. And we'll have to monitor people coming. We had 11 tonight at one point, and that didn't bother me. I think the 10 is a reasonable number, but if it's a little bit more, but we're spaced up in this room, that's not a problem.
And they were all right here if they were spread out.
Exactly, and I think with the zoning, it's even if people are not here for that particular hearing, they can wait in the hallway, still listen in and see what's happening. I think it's worth a try, because we need to start. The planning board meets the following week, right? And they're zooming in, and God love you. I don't know how that's gonna work, but.
Now, if someone contacts me for whether this meeting or the ZBA, and they want to join by Zoom because they don't want to come in, should I set up the Zoom just for them? I mean, I can be like this, I can be in contact with them myself.
Or ask them to send in their questions.
Yeah. I think I've already got something out there about calling before or
I
during.
didn't see anything, so
Maybe that was this meeting.
I don't think there was anything on the zoning board, but,
I can put it on the website somehow.
if someone really wants to do that, not come, I think we have to allow that up.
I think we have to accommodate them.
Yeah, we'll do the best to accommodate. Okay?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of May 27th.
Second.
Couple discussions on those. On page 3, I love Miss Alessio as well, but she's not the chairman.
Did I say chairman?
Yeah. And then on page 4, prior to the dog park opening, that is when I left the meeting.
Okay,
Oh, that
yeah, I
dog
lost
park.
track of when you actually left, so.
I would like a note in there, under the paragraph that says Chairman Coombs that a date for reopening needs to be set. And right above dog park reopening, that's when I left the meeting, so I was never in any of those other votes. Because you put me on the emergency fund donation as a vote, I wasn't there.
So after the dog park or before?
Before the dog park.
Any other changes?
Wait a minute, 'cause there was something about the dog park that wasn't right. Oh, it says dog park owner Marilyn Coombs. Marilyn's not the dog park owner. That's on the dog park reopen request. First sentence says a letter was received from dog park owner Marilyn.
Okay, what is she, the manager?
Representative?
Representative, yeah.
Yeah, because the town owns the dog park.
Right, right.
So,
Okay, I thought she owned the business or something,
I'm sure she has a business, but I don't know. I think she likes the dog park, you know, she likes the puppies there.
Fix that.
Any other changes?
I'm good.
Take a vote.
Yes, yes, yes,
Everyone in favor?
All in favor?
yes. Unanimous.
I approve I vote yes on the minutes public. The non-public, I would abstain, so I wasn't there. I don't know if your motion is for both of them.
No, it's just for the non-public, for the public meeting, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Because the others were sealed.
For the non-public.
Non-public was sealed.
Say it again.
The non-public meeting was sealed.
Oh, okay, so we don't need to approve them? Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other business?
The only thing I would say on the correspondence, you brought a point, the abatement on 7A, Howell River Road, so I would ask for further clarification before we do that.
Okay.
And then, there was another thing in there, and I'm gonna reach out to Chairman Alessia.
This one?
Selectmen Alessia, look at now you say. Yeah, that one we'll hold off on until I get more, oh, well, that one, yes.
Tell the governor if you would.
I'm gonna ask you to put on your old moderator hat, and I would like possibly clarification, because there is a PO there for us to approve all the special warrant articles for going to reserve funds, totaling $140,000. And I question if we want to do that just yet, because we don't know what our revenue stream.
Right, and you are absolutely correct. We do not have to do that now. You can hold those funds in case we need it, because we had said we were going to review funds July 1st. And I would not release those funds yet, in case we need them.
Yeah.
Because even though they were voted by the public, they're reserved excess funds, that if the town has other financial considerations, that should take precedent over releasing reserve funds.
I'd almost like to wait till later in the year, fall, we could talk about it.
We need to review our financial condition in 1st of July anyways. That would be an appropriate time to look at those reserve funds and decide that then.
That'd be a tremendous backlash, so if we didn't.
Well, it could be. Again, I'm not an expert on it because I've never had experiences in the 30-some odd years, but the select board also has the fiduciary responsibility not to have funds available for emergencies and so forth, and those are excess funds.
I'm not looking to skirt the voters.
No,
and
neither am I.
Right.
But I think we don't have to do that right yet.
I'm fine with that, but when we had this conversation a couple months ago, not knowing what our expense was gonna be.
Yeah.
I think we're coming to the point that we know our expense is not gonna be outrageous. I mean, because everything's going.
Yeah, but we don't know what we're gonna take in for revenue for taxes, is the problem.
I said it's going good.
This one.
I also agree with that. I said that this one would be the easy one. The December may be.
December's gonna be the issue, how long this goes, and how
But
many people.
I would I don't mind, we can withhold, not reserve those funds today, but I wouldn't go into the next fiscal year without a ruling for
Okay.
DRA, to be honest with you. because I'm not sure on that one, but I don't think.
Worst case scenario, we could always encumber it as well, but we're not there yet. I'm just saying, I think we should table that for now. That was all.
Okay, and then the other point that I would have on that is, do we have to do them all, or can we pick and choose?
Ooh, now we're skirting, I think now.
Just something to think about. We don't.
Right now, I'd say we would suspend it all and then wait till we review our financial condition.
Okay.
And then maybe when we ask for guidance on whether we can do this or not, we ask whether can we pick and choose.
Okay.
Some of the issues that have come up in the last week, neighbors and residents have been cleaning up in front of the Kingston State Park.
Oh, yeah.
And so I would recommend to the board that we at least look at posting whatever the rules are gonna be and hours and what have you at both beaches. And maybe do something in front of the state park where you could post a sign, resident parking only. I've already spoken to the state park. They are opening on a limited basis this coming Friday. And they will be cutting back on their crowd, so that's gonna do one or two things. That's either gonna make that area more congested. These people have been over picking up trash and sheetrock screws and everything else over there. They said
I would have picked up a case of Corona bottles there.
they do, yeah. So it's a mess. So, I mean, this,
It's a mess on the plains and.
yeah, right in front of the state park. So we could post, and some of the rules will need to be posted, I think, at both beaches. We need to post some of the rules there. And
Both beaches are what, Greenwood and by Bowles Landing?
Yes.
And what rules would we post?
Anything we're going to implement there for social distancing or, whatever the rules are gonna be. We need to post those. I would think.
I came to you with the sticker idea, and I've thought about it a lot since. If we sticker that area right there for residents only, we're gonna basically tell those people to move over to the other side of the road and park. We're gonna shift them, so we're either gonna put no parking signs through there,
Okay.
or something to keep them from coming from that lot and just going to the other side of the road and parking.
Is the problem gonna go away when the state park opens? Because
No.
It's worse.
No, and I'll tell you why, because they're gonna limit the amount of people, and they're gonna go online, you're gonna request reservations, they're gonna give you a table. They tell me that there's going to be a state park employee at the front gate letting you in, making sure that you have the reservation. So if they're cutting it, say 50%, then those people are gonna wanna do other things. Just as in the morning, people, when the park is closed, they go in and they walk their dogs and go in for a walk through the park, which the state allows you to do. So it's a problem out front of the park on how to manage that without having a bunch of trash and all kinds of stuff out there.
I could see a sign saying, please be kind to your neighbor and pick up your trash. I mean,
We could try it.
the sticker, I question, we stopped it because of the expense, and I think we should relook at it, but I don't know if I want to spend, because it was very expensive.
It was.
And then how do we get them out to people in time?
First of all, I don't know where you went for stickers, but that guy that did the fire department stickers, they were less than $1 a piece.
Really?
I forget what it was.
Originally, Tammy
Came to us, because we used to bring down.
Number, that made.
No, because they hand them. We used to, when you got a boat launch key, you got a sticker. And she had stickers for, I can't remember, from Betty. And so she went to get them printed, and I forget why they were gonna be expensive, but it was,
I think she numbered.
thousands of dollars.
I think she had hers numbered too. I think.
I can't remember. We'd have to ask her, but it was at a point where the town said, what's the point of it? We didn't need it, it was a useless cost, but now here you go.
So we need to manage that somehow, and maybe we try with that signage first. So if the board would authorize me to get or me or Rich or whoever to get some signs made, maybe Rich St. Hilaire to make.
So be it.
okay, so we're gonna have them make signs and pick up the trash? I don't know what you're gonna put at the beach. I'll be honest with you. I think it's,
Well, that's
how are we gonna police it? How are we gonna police it?
Well, I think the beach, you put up a sign that says, based on COVID, we ask that you follow the CDC standards and the state recommendations. And then let the people, and you can give the state's website, and it's just a laminated sign, not much money, but at least you're posting.
I know, but I want verbiage. I can't just say to Rich, make him one up. You know what I'm saying?
Well, come up with verbiage.
the only way you can enforce it, you gotta enforce by the cars having a sticker or something on them, so you know they're residents. That it's gonna be easier behind Bolton's than it is down at Greenwood. That's a tough beach to enforce. But, so we wanna ask Rich to post something on the plains as well.
Yeah, we should do that. I mean, even something simple, please be courteous and pick up your trash.
Respect neighbors, pick up your trash.
Okay, I'll ask him to do that.
Do we want to put garbage bags, barrels out there? We gotta pick it up.
That's the thing, once you put that out there, you gotta pick it up.
The state park is horrendous. It's not to mention what's in there. Somebody went through there the other day and picked up 6 bags of trash and they didn't even touch it.
It's a mess, yeah.
So who cleans up the state park? Does the state?
State park
State,
is open,
yeah.
but now they're assuming no one's there because it's closed.
That's crazy.
Do you wanna ask Rich, or do you want me to ask?
Yeah, I'll ask.
Okay. So do you want me to look into getting some stickers for at least?
I'll
Okay.
check into some sources too.
Okay. I told you the park is open Friday. I got a call on that last week. So Rich is gonna look at the signs for the beaches and for the plains. I think that's it. The other stuff I have is non-public. have a lawsuit that we need to look at.
And I have one legal.
So motion to go into non-public based on RSA 91-A personnel for the.
Personnel and legal.
And legal matter.
All in favor?
Well, second, you're gonna do a roll call. vote
Second,
on the-
yeah.
On the,
And actually, do you want to end the public meeting, so Adam?
Was there anything else in here we need to address?
You covered it.
I think we got it. Make a motion to end the
Yeah, but,
public portion of the meeting.
yes.
Well, I think we just say the same, because we don't adjourn until after the non-public.
Okay.
You're going into non-public. You're
going into
go
non-public,
Okay, I
right,
have a motion and a second, Wilson, Alessio.
yeah,
And I can do a roll call vote if you'd like.
Yep.
Alessio.
Yep.
Riggs.
Yes.
St. James.
Yes.
Yes.
This will end our televised portion of our meeting this evening. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
and Adam can close it down.
Yep. And
Ellie, did you send me something?
No, and
I got something too.
don't open it,
Yeah,
I got
no.
hacked, I'm just finding out, that's what I was looking at.
Yeah. I knew it. I didn't think you'd be sending me a Facebook message.
No.
can I just, before you get started on the other stuff, I did get a message back. I asked Cindy, because I